Mr Mayor, could I speak, please? Could I be?
Sorry, Councillor Harper, yes.
Yeah, it's really, with the amendment, item 3, car park income wasn't actually put or wasn't actually discussed in any way. I understood it was withdrawn, yet we voted on it. How can we vote on something that's withdrawn?
It was moved, apparently.
No, I don't think so. Well, is there any way you can... I know this is probably difficult, but I don't believe the electronic vote was correct on that item in any way, and I think you really should ask... we should try to look at a show of hands to make sure.
I'm afraid you can't. According to the legal officer...
Point of accuracy, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Aldrich, yes.
I don't think the vote was correct on the comms department either. Because my vote wasn't recorded, but one vote wouldn't have made any difference to that.
Okay, just a minute. Sorry, just bear with us, we're having a little consultation. Is there anybody who put their hands up to say they think their machine was not working?
It certainly wasn't on the comms issue, sir.
Mr Mayor, why are people afraid to just put their hands up and vote again? I don't understand what the problem is. It's a democracy.
We're just debating that, Councillor Hart. If you just bear with us a little bit.
We have reset it once.
If there is a problem with the machines working, then we will run another vote. If people just haven't voted the right way for whatever reason, then we're not going to run another vote. So we would need to know if anyone thinks their machines were not working during that vote. Please put your hands up.
Point of order, Mr Mayor. I think this is ridiculous.
Yes, Councillor Sanford, your point of order.
My point of order is that Councillor Shahid had a problem with his machine and he pointed it out at the time. For people to wait for the result and then not like the result and then claim their machine's not working is completely ridiculous.
Mr Mayor, can I make an observation, please?
We're going to have a 5-minute adjournment now until we look into it, because
can I make
obviously...
an observation? It's just that people didn't know, because until the things came up, we only spotted the discrepancies, and in actual fact, the screen changes so quick, you can't actually see what the problem was, which is why we're unsure. But we know what our mind was on particular interest.
Councillor Fitzgerald, we are going to look at it, so we're going to have a 5-minute break, so they can look into it and make a decision, okay? Thank you. Sorry, please sit. I'm now going to hand you over to the legal officer to explain what's going to happen.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, the system indicates that there is a system error on items 5 and 6. There's a large number of votes that haven't registered at all for both those items. You need to wait until the blue lights are flashing until you place your vote. So we're going to rerun both those votes, item 5 and item 6.
Hang on a minute, can we just stand one at a time, please? Because I don't think we can all talk at the same time.
Point
point of order, which is that, Councillor Sanford. You're the only one that said
My
point of order.
point of order is that this is a total farce, and I wish to request the Chief Executive to convene an extraordinary meeting of the party group leaders at the earliest possible opportunity so that we can sort out this total farce that's happening.
Councillor Ellis.
Point of order, personal explanation. At the last council...
Sorry, I can't hear you. So you have to speak up.
Point of order, personal explanation. At the last council meeting, I formally seconded a motion. I then attempted to vote. It did not work. At no time then was I given the opportunity to see how I voted. At no time then was I given the opportunity to have another bite at the cherry. Listen,
That's not really...
no, it is.
I'm sorry.
This is a farce to democracy,
Sorry,
Mr Mayor.
sorry.
And I'm not happy with this one bit. To carry on voting until people get it right is not how it is. I'd love to see that in
can you
standing
please
orders.
sit down?
Members are very welcome to examine the voting records after the meeting. That's available for you to do so. There's a clear indication that a large number of members have not voted because they have not waited for their blue lights to be flashing to register their vote. Therefore, we're going to rerun the vote on items 5 and 6.
Sorry, just a minute. Councillor Khan was before you, Councillor Seaton.
Mr Mayor, can the legal
You're
officer...
standing on what point?
It's per point of order, Mr Mayor. Can the legal officer please tell us under what standing order is she doing the rerun?
It's not under any standing order. A vote needs to be properly taken in law. Our standing orders don't currently allow for electronic voting at all, actually, and that's something that's going to be corrected at the next Governance Board and Audit Committee. So at the moment, our recorded votes are done by me reading out a list of names, but group leaders agreed on Monday night that we would do it by means of the electronic voting system until such time as standing orders are updated.
Mr Mayor, may I make a suggestion? We go to a show of hands, because I'm fed up with this system, and we just go on a show of hands, as we have done, to avoid any further delay.
We have to do a recorded vote on the budget by law, so I will have to go through all of your names and you will indicate whether you're voting for, against or abstentions, okay?
Do you need us to stand up to ask for the recorded vote?
No. Standing order, the law requires that there's a standing order.
Happy to do that.
Yes. So we are now going to redo the vote on item 5, the reduction in the communications budget. I'm going to go... Sorry, I didn't
Councillor
see you
Khan.
Mr Mayor, I thank the officer for saying that it's not under the standing orders. I can understand that. But the vote has taken place, Mr Mayor. Yes. Now, if people didn't vote, that is their tough. We didn't, I mean, I couldn't vote last time and I got in serious trouble with my leader. And I think we ought to sort of move on, and I think the recommendation is there that we look at this item on standing order next time. The vote that is carried tonight, move on to this rather than going back to the show of hands as well. Systems here, you know, we worked it like this time. If they haven't, that's their tough luck.
Can we move to the vote, Mr Mayor, please?
Councillor
Mr. Mayor,
Lane.
sorry.
Councillor Lane was before you, Councillor Stanford.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If Councillor Khan's going to make a suggestion on that, I'll support that. And we just need a vote.
Mr Mayor, the legal officer has given an opinion. Can we move to the vote, please?
Point of order, Mr. Mayor. Can I just clarify?
Can we just all settle down a little bit here, because it's difficult enough. Let the legal officer, she's the one that gives us the advice, let her do her job, which she will do, and then she'll give it to you correct. But, you know, all standing up at once is not going to achieve anything, because it's going backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. Let's just settle down, let her make a decision, and hopefully everybody will agree with it.
Just raise a point of order, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Sanford.
I'm not clear what we're being told. Are we being told that the system is faulty, in which case I can see an argument, maybe, for taking the vote again? Or are we just saying that some members didn't understand how the system was working, which I find surprising that there's been training and people have been shown how the system works? So which of those is it?
My understanding from the technician is that people tried to vote, but the system didn't record their vote. Is that right? Is that what we're being told?
The system wasn't
but they
faulty.
didn't vote at
It
the
was
right
a fault
time.
of the members, not the system.
No votes were registered on the system. Although people tried to vote, the votes weren't registered.
Point of order, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Councillor Habady.
So I think that's fine. So my understanding is that we have had this situation arise previously, as Councillor Khan has stated. So de jure, surely, if the situation is that we just carry on and we don't raise issues and we just accept the vote as it is, why are we not doing it tonight when clearly the Tories have lost the vote, which they want to reverse?
The budget vote is very important. The law requires us to have a recorded vote on the budget vote. It's important that that vote is accurate. It appears that there is a system error here. Therefore, I am proposing that we move now to a vote with me reading out a list of your names, and you will indicate which way in which you want to vote.
I'm going to allow you this, Councillor Jamil, but you said it's going to be a little one. What is it? A point of order?
Point of order.
Thank you.
If we change this tonight, the last meeting people may have not got what they wanted. So how legitimate was the decisions we made at the last meeting if this, if this happened last time as well and people didn't realise it was happening?
Okay. One meeting, please. One meeting.
Order, Mr. Mayor. We've just been sorry.
Councillor Sanford, the legal officer's looking into it. Can we not just wait?
We've just been told by the legal officer that some votes are more important than other votes. Where is the legislation?
Councillor Sanford, I have not said that. We obviously need to amend our standing orders to allow for electronic voting, and at that stage, when it goes to Audit Committee and Governance Board, you can all have your input on what you want to see in this sort of eventuality in the future. However, we are where we are tonight. I am suggesting the system is indicating that votes have not been registered because people have tried to vote and it hasn't registered. So I'm going to rerun the vote on items 5 and 6, and I'm going to do it by a call of names.
Councillor Bond, are you standing on the point of order?
Yeah, I just don't really understand, to be honest. Surely if it's happened before, there's been a legal precedent set in the past. If it's been ruled by a legal officer and it's happened in the past, surely the precedent has been set in the past.
You've put your point across, please, Councillor Bond.
I'm not aware of it having happened before, neither is the Chief Executive, so I don't know what reference that is. I can only deal with what's happening here and now. I wasn't here to deal with what was happening in the past. So I'm going to start with this item 5, unless...
You have a recommendation here.
Councillor Khan.
You have a recommendation here from me, and it was seconded by Councillor Lane. If you want to do it that way, then take it, make us lose, and then carry on. I think that's the proper way, because there is a recommendation that we carry on. Now, if the legal officer wants to overrule you know, my recommendation.
Councillor Khan, can you just explain that again to the legal officer, because you didn't quite catch
I
you?
said in my submission earlier on is that we carry on without retaking the vote, and Councillor Lane kindly seconded that resolution. So you have that resolution on the floor, on the table.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, there was a previous resolution before that of mine where I asked for a recorded vote by hand, seconded by Councillor Seresti. So if we're talking about what's first, that was first. And the legal officer has been quite clear, let's just get on with the vote, the time is pressing.
I'm going to take the advice from the legal officer, and she'll explain what that is.
I've explained it already. The system is just recording that votes have not been registered when people have tried to vote. Therefore, my view is that we should rerun the vote, items 5 and 6, and I'm going to do it without using the electronic voting system because we have to have a recorded vote, and I'm going to start reading out the names.
Point of order, Mr. Mayor. No, Councillor Khan has effectively moved a motion that the Council move to the next item of business on the agenda. My understanding of the standing order is that is a legitimate motion that can be moved without giving notice. So why is the legal officer not allowing us to take a vote on the legitimate motion that Councillor Khan's put forward?
Mr. Mayor, we put a motion before that. It was put by Councillor Fitzgerald and I seconded it, that we moved to a recorded vote before Councillor Khan stood up. So if it's worth that for Councillor Khan, it's worth the same for us. We should move to the vote.
Yeah, okay.
Right, we're going to take a recorded vote on item 5, which is the reduction in the communications budget. Councillor Aitken. Councillor Ali.